part of what we were going to talk about was not too young to lead. So we can't really lay emphasis on the fact that, you know, the kids are not aligned with what's going on if they're not taught what to do, or if they don't have that awareness.
Yeah.
Don't forget that we talked about education within politics. That means, are we educating people politically to understand what politics is, right? And then grassroots politics is a structural approach. Grassroots politics, okay, you've educated them, now get them involved. Are we actually doing that? Are we getting these kids involved? You know, here, once you're 18, 16, they start getting involved. Once they're 18, they want to know what's going on, right? And then you have to deviate their mind from party affiliation. I think that's very important, because once they align with party affiliation over progress, they don't see progress. They see party affiliation only. This is why they will go out there and look for things to drink, things to smoke, things to do whatever, because they are not aligned with progress. They're only aligned with the party based on what has been cascaded down to them, right? So yes, you're right, Abby. You know, we can't really, you know where I'm coming from. We can't really blame the kids on that level, right? But understanding leadership integrity is a whole different ballgame. If we don't understand leadership integrity within politics, which is what I'm hoping Osei can help us in 2 minutes, right? What is that thing called leadership integrity within politics? I'm not just talking about not stealing money now. There is a thing where, as a leader, you have to give back on a level. Yeah, can you highlight that for 2 minutes before we jump to somebody else? Thanks, Abby.
It's the same thing. It's your ministers are corrupt, your EFCC guys are corrupt, governance is not going down, people are being arrested, they are stealing billions of naira, regardless of the party in power, regardless of the personalities heading this system. The system is structured in such a way that it delivers maximum benefit to the holders of that office. So it's even if we get rid of APC and PDP, and if we go in thinking that there isn't an ideological framework in place, we are then unable to uproot it, because that is what will continue driving the system.
Okay, I mean, let me just take it back a little bit. You know, we picked up from when we said the Constitution is somehow flawed. We don't want to argue about whether it's flawed or not. This is not the platform for it. What we want to try and see is unlock each value within that statement or the overarching statement. In this case in point now, what you just highlighted based on the political history of Nigeria and what politics is, grassroots politics, where are we within grassroots politics in Nigeria from an educational point of view? You see, because that we can unlock value to say, are we getting it right or are we getting it wrong? Because grassroots politics seems to be an issue. So this is where, you know, it would be nice if that conversation can steer towards from your point of view.
Okay, so again, I'll be slightly contrarian, Solomon. I don't know if you guys remember the Osun elections and the Ekiti elections.
Yes.
So we had agents in those states, those two elections particularly, we had agents in those states. And at the polling units, PDP members, I'm talking about live PDP members, they are registered card-carrying PDP members, came to our agents, you know, and are telling our agents that, look, I want to vote for you guys. I'm the PDP guy, but, you know, 5 meters from here, those guys are offering us 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. I'm not asking you to pay more. You know, if you can just match it, right, then I will vote for you. Okay. So there is and the reason why I bring that is that there is an understanding at the grassroots that, you know what, anything the politicians come and say is a facade, is an illusion. You know, it's a transactional relationship as far as we are concerned. What are we able to get from you guys? So if there is a gap, it's probably, I don't know, it's not an education gap, but it's maybe a communication gap. How are we able to let the grassroots know that if you vote into office this time around, you will actually get benefit from that vote, rather than saying, you know, politics or governance, as far as the market woman or trader or whoever is concerned, is an election day transaction.
Okay, that's really a good point, is because that can actually steer us into party affiliation over progress, which is something that I think Mohammed might have one or two opinions about it. We'll definitely have to come back to you in terms of that situation you just highlighted, because it's completely wrong. You're offering money for votes and all that, but we have to deal with it when we come to leadership integrity. But at the moment, from what you described again, Mohammed, in terms of party affiliation over progress, where do you think we are getting it wrong? This is not to do with whether you're PDP or whatever. It's just that affiliation, party affiliation over progress. How are we not getting it right from your own point of view? I mean, you're here, we've talked about politics here in the UK, how it's practiced, and politics in other places, and we've spoken about leaders from eons ago. So why are we getting it wrong on that level, and how?
Well, the whole concept is we actually in Africa, Nigeria, and many parts of the world, we are just always trying to copy. We don't want to solve our problem our own self. We are waiting for others to give us solution for our own problem. Or we are waiting for angels to come down and solve our problem. Why do we even need to practice democracy? Is it meant for us? No, it was not. Even those that, to me, the whole idea of democracy is a scam, is nonsense. And I don't think it will really work. When you say a thief, a police, and a judge has equal vote, each one of them has a different aim and objective, and he has different interests. And if you say, okay, let them decide by the main common majority. If you have 5 thieves in a state and 5 police, 5 judges, if 3 turn out, 1 judge turn out, 1 police turn out, who do you think will win the vote? You cannot never, generalize people, because people are never general. The whole idea of democracy started from Greece, Democratos, people's rule. That's what they say. Go and read what their philosophers then. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, go and see how they criticize the whole idea. Is nonsense. You cannot say someone who is in primary school or secondary can give you a clear or better explanation about cybersecurity like me that I'm doing a PhD.
Okay.
Likewise, I cannot talk to you about medicine like an expert in medicine. It cannot work. So how can the public come, with different experience and expertise and decide for the whole? Someone don't even know his interest. Let me tell you, I watched a documentary about Leopold, that devil who killed many people in
Congo.
Yeah. And a lady was telling the interviewer, how does he feel about Leopold? She said, well, maybe he was kind of brutal, but at least they are glad, they appreciate him civilizing them. She don't even know he killed them and deprived them of their resources. No, she is saying at least he civilized them. So can you tell me that one can even vote for her own well-being? She don't even know her own right because she is thoroughly brainwashed. The second part of democracy, what makes democracy a democracy is legislation, because even in monarchy or other rules, you have the executive and the judiciary. Is legislative parliament, right? Idea of parliament started in Rome, where you have the Senate. What Senate means, even in Roman language, Latin, is council of elders. They don't say everybody should contest and go. They say with age come wiseness and experience. So they say only the wise should go and make a decision for the society. You cannot even in your house say you, your wife, and your 5-year-old child, 2-year and maybe 7-year will sit down and decide everybody has equal rights. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, let me just jump in quickly. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and trust me, we've had a lot of these conversations in the past, but we are trying to come up with a new way of thinking, right? You just highlighted what our problems are from the get-go, but we have to deal with what we have based on where we are. Let's call a spade a spade. We are operating under democracy. It has worked for some people regardless, right? We know what's failing. Why does politics fail in Nigeria is where we started, and now we moved on to party affiliation over progress. Regardless of what you're saying, we're already skin deep into it. The idea is how can we now kind of get it right, but through educating not just ourselves, but educating those who are supposed to come up next, right? So in light of what you've just said, right? Well, it's not, we adopted the system, we have adopted it now. Moving forward, how does party affiliation again, how does it, how do we bring out that party affiliation over progress, and how do we highlight it as wrong? I mean, you can
party affiliation, Solomon, thrive because there is no patriotism in the country. You know,
Okay.
if everybody is, his interest is the country and the people, so whichever party you will only be arguing on the way to implement, you know, to do the best thing for the country. That is where you will see the difference on the way to do it. Someone will say do it this way or that, but the whole aim and objective will be the same.
Okay.
One way I think is we are not patriotic in Nigeria. People don't feel they are Nigerians. Some things they are offended, some things they are marginalized, some things they are not part of the country. We need to sit down and reconcile. You know, everybody should be a stakeholder. Whatever we can do, if it is through federalism, if it is whatever, let everyone feel Nigeria belongs to him. That is the first way to address. I don't know.
When you say 1 minute, Tony, when you say from a patriotic point of view, right? What you're saying there, something is missing, leadership is missing. That's where we're going into the next topic. Tony, you had a question.
I hear what he's going to say, and I think, let me expatiate on what he's trying to say.
Okay.
See, if you don't own it, then value it. So if it's not part of it, it doesn't matter to you. Leadership in democracy is something that it's like ownership. So if someone comes today and gives you, say, a car, because maybe you didn't work for it or you didn't buy it yourself, you might not know the value of it. So you just want to drive it and then you hit the ground. That's exactly what happens to the police. You know, when the police they give them some new cars, I see them to drive after a while, like a year, that these cars are not even functional. They are like dead. You understand me? What I'm trying to say is that if you don't own it, you cannot value it.
If we don't own what exactly?
If you don't own the leadership, if you don't own the institution, if you don't feel that this institution belongs to you, democracy in Nigeria is like people take it like a right. They don't take it like it's like a duty to serve. They take it like you get me? So it's like a right, and it's not supposed to be like that. When you see somebody that was a teacher doing well as a teacher, but becomes a counselor, and then that person becomes like a dictator. What happened between the time when he was a teacher and when he became a counselor? You find out that he or she did not have that ownership institution or valueship in his mind or our mind.
All right, so there's something missing to say that then. If you put it like that, that means there's something missing, which it takes just for
exactly.
Right?
So and what is missing there is what my brother was trying to say. That sense of value, that sense of ownership, that he doesn't democracy. Let's use the American system, for example. You have the Republicans and you have the Democrats. But these two people, they are practicing democracy. It's just how you implement it. Somebody might want to implement it through linear equation system. Other ones want to implement it by quadratic equation system. But the end justifies the means. There's a goal. There's an aim to a goal. But
here, I'm allowed to jump out now. Yeah, I'm allowed to jump. I think I've got two points from you in terms of the value and the leadership point of view. Just for the sake of time, because we only have an hour and it's time boxed. Yeah.
Right. I just wanted to just drop that quickly.
No, that's great. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Somebody from the audience actually said something. I'm going to go back to Ose and then we'll go to Benga Samuel in a minute just to explain a few things. Right. Somebody had just said, which we are trying to align with and agree with on a level to say, hey, look, it's the politicians that are failing. We understand that. We get it's the politicians failing, but if we are to get to a new kind of mindset, which is all what this is about, how do we get to that new way of thinking, right? We have to sometimes move away from what we already know, things that are already well down too obvious for us, the politicians stealing money, the leaders failing and all this. So we have to be able to say, can we actually move our mentality from that into thinking somewhat new? This is why we are highlighting these points. For instance, we're going on to leadership in politics now. Is it actually missing? Fair enough, we might have to define what leadership is before we can get to that point, but is leadership something failing in Nigeria or is it completely missing? And I'm keen to understand from your point of view, also, again, if it's actually missing, then maybe, going forward, anyone from the audience who has an answer to what Ose has to say can just jump in and, continue from there, right? So is leadership actually missing when it comes to politics in Nigeria? And just be aligns with me here. It's not a leader or leaders. Is the thing leadership, is it actually missing?
I don't think it is, and I sort of will merge it with the previous question about politics of progress. So what we are seeing now, I think the polity is sort of like, starting to recognize that, there's all parties share the same ideology, so parties are platforms. And the differentiator now is sort of like becoming that exceptional leader. So for instance, you see, you will hear about a Sheyi Makinde in PDP. You will hear about a Zulum in APC. In the Senate, you see people who are sort of like standing out, and it's becoming, our politics is sort of like becoming less about the party and more about the individual. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
If you look at it from a leadership point of view, don't you think a certain kind of leadership is missing there? You just highlighted the fact that people are moving from what politics should be to something else. So who's responsible for capturing that move and bringing it back to order then?
So that's what I don't think leadership is missing. What I think is happening is that people are now identifying leadership and are finding it regardless of where it is. So whether it's in the APC or in PDP or it's in civil society, people are seeing pockets or pools of leadership in a wider vacuum. Again, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. Whether we are able to, sort of like link these pools or pockets of leadership together to create a sea change. Again, I don't know if that's possible. But leadership does exist in pockets.
So from your own opinion, you don't think leadership is missing?
No, I don't think it is there.
Hello, sorry.
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, thank you very much. In as much as I support the immediate speaker wearing a Manchester United shirt, which is my team, I do disagree with you saying leadership
is partisan politics.
Of course, leadership.
Sorry.
When we have a football team and the football team fails to score or fails to perform in a season, the players, defenders, midfielders, the back and strikers are not sacked. The manager is responsible. When we have a failed society, of course, the leadership is failing. Let's call a spade a spade. Look, one problem about my country, Nigeria, is hunger is being used as a tool to win over elections. Please, pardon me, let me just give you this scenario of which Adolf Hitler used for some of his generals when they were failing to conquer Europe on time.
Okay. Before you go there, you have 1 minute, yeah, because we're going to jump into, from what you're saying, we're going to jump into, is it too young to lead? Because, according to what that guy said, regardless of where leadership is, you can go and get it. So that means age is not a factor. So continue, Ty, yeah? Just be ready.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm going to cut it short. I'm just going to cut it short. Hunger is used as a tool to win elections in Nigeria. If I am hungry, there is nothing else that comes in to me than sorting my hunger out. And when you make people go so hungry for 4 years and you come back when election is just about 5 6 months and you offer them a peanut, you will get their votes. Because a man with 12 children, a taxi driver whose job has been taken and had to feed the kids, he wouldn't mind some printing for a goat, a pig, as long as that animal can offer him a 3 square meal. And that's where we need to start tackling it. I agree with you on one point. The mindset of the average Nigerians have to change. That if we want a better life, we don't pay tithe to churches, we pay taxes to the state.
Okay.
That's my take.
Awesome. Benga, do you agree with this guy? Because at the end of the day, what we're saying is that based on what he just said, we know leadership is missing, but not too young to lead. There was a kind of like a drive for that. What's your take on that with regards to leadership, which I think is missing, but if you don't agree? So
I beg apologies for coming in late. I beg to differ a little bit with leadership being missing, because as a matter of fact, it does not take 100 people to build a nation. It takes one person. So if a leadership is, if someone that hasn't got a leadership skills comes in position to lead, it will crumble. And if someone comes in position to lead and does not have the love of his people, it will fail as well, because it will be for self-interest. So not too young to run, and leadership skills, they interlace together. So not too young to run is in our constitution at a certain age that you can run if you meet the criteria. So if someone is coming in from the outside, has love for the people, has been living in a certain environment, knows what the people need, he will do the needful for his people and not think about himself first, because leadership is about response. It's like a shepherd looking after the sheep. So if they have that mentality that they have to look after the sheep, they will do the right thing. And apart from that as well, we can push the blame to people that elect those leaders. When you elect leaders because they've induced you with 10,000 naira or 20,000 naira, and you know that they're not the rightful person, what you get is your doing. And apart from that as well, just to put this in as well, when leadership get into a position and they know that they enjoy immunity, nobody can hold them up, they will continue in that track of recklessness and rascality.
Okay.
So we as the individual are leaders. You're a leader, she's a leader, I'm a leader, we're a leader in our own right, in your house or in anywhere you live. So to bring that to the forefront, we need to lead by example. We need to let people know that if they're in a position to be a leader, they need to be selfless. And
so how do we create that political awareness?
By your action in any little circumstances you find yourself. Even a class captain in school is a leader. So you can start from there. So the mindset, what you tell other people, your behavior is leadership starts from the grassroots, from when you're young. So when you get there, it won't be difficult for you to lead.
Benga, we went through grassroots. We know what the scenario is with grassroots, right? So we know that's achievable. We went through the fact that, okay, party affiliation and progress over progress. We need to really address that. But at this point in time now, right, that political awareness that it seems is missing, because we're doing politics, but we're probably not, it's not politics we're doing. We're just doing whatever it is to survive. So how do we create the right political awareness that would feed and service the nation as it is, as we stand? Obviously leading to a different mindset.
Right.
Guys, you guys can have a chat about that. We got about 5 minutes on that. So
let me quickly add this to it. You know, in every party, they have manifestos, they have their constitution. They're written by party members. So when they sit down to write what is going to benefit the people, they need to write the right policy so that when they give it out, they will keep to their promises. Because it's
about the awareness now, the political awareness, not just what's in those write-ups. You know, sometimes it's geared towards what they want. But how do you create the awareness going forward? How do we drive that political awareness?
Like how long it will take them for them to do it? So they need to be telling us the good things that they've done. They need to be telling us that the people that have fallen short of doing the needful consequences have been taken.
But is that not just plain politics?
Can I just interject, Solomon?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah.
Thank you. Osa, hello. I understand you're into grassroots politics. That's fantastic. The only way to move forward is to provide accountable leadership. And it starts with the conversation we're having now. Obviously, we have some of us in diaspora and we have some of us in Nigeria. Now, if we're able to come together in one voice, in one movement, I believe that will help to progress the conversation, and this will help generate good leadership, my opinion.
That is a cool way in terms of political awareness. If we start from the grassroots, we have a few people who can push that narrative forward. You know, then it leads to leadership integrity, pushing the idea, pushing the grassroots. You might be doing that with an intention. You know, some people do that because they want the gains at the end of it, right? So yeah, leadership integrity comes into play. Now, the definition of that would have to come from somebody who understands politics on a very, very high level. So I'll leave that conversation with Uyano said to say, okay, look, when it comes to leadership integrity from a political point of view, how do we guarantee that that can actually help us?
So the question is, Who breeds the leadership? You and I. So whenever I hear Nigerians complain about leadership, I always say to myself, but we created these problems for ourselves. We breed your leadership. I ventured into, you're aware, Solomon's aware, knows me very well. I ventured into politics recently. And what I noticed was, it's not the leaders that are the problem. It's the younger ones. They are the ones creating problems for themselves. They don't know the direction they want to face. These people are not being empowered at all. All the politicians do, every 2 or 3 months, wait for them, give them money, they go and drink. This is what these guys do. All they do, drink, smoke, drink, smoke.
But do we have to completely blame the politicians, though? The education we identified is missing already.
No, that's why I'll go back again. Who breeds the leadership? Right. There's social media these days. There's so many platforms where people can go into. I like politics to be tribal. I want to belong to a political group. I want my friend to belong to another political group, and let's have robust arguments on where to take, what direction we feel our country should go into. That's why I enjoyed, though I'm in my 40s, but I did enjoy politics in the 80s, because you could tell what UPN stood for, free education. Okay. You knew what NPN stood for. Free enterprise. Those were the things I actually did like. If we can go back to an ideology-based political system, I think we'll begin to start getting it right again.
All right, just hold it right there. Ideology-based political system, right? Yeah. AB has something to say about that, but I need to come back to that. I like that one. Right? So, Miss AB, hello.
Oh, hi. Good evening, all.
Yeah, good dropping on the chat there. You know.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Basically, I cannot understand why. Okay, he has his own. He's entitled to his own views, but why would we blame the child for the sins of the father? You cannot blame the youth for the sins that are created by the older generation. The older generation are the present politicians who remain in power, refuse to give up power, continue to keep the common man hungry so that they can oppress the common man. And you blame the youth. The youth are the future of the country. They are the ones you should listen to. Age has nothing to do with leadership. You're intelligent, you can lead. Let the old ones move aside. Give the younger ones the opportunity. Let them flourish. Let them have the opportunity. Let them make mistakes. It doesn't matter. We don't want to keep living the lives of old people. I really cannot get why you would blame the young people. I really don't get it.
Thank you.
Is the really transformational idea that politics should be tribal, politics should be local. So it should be the idea of, Solomon, if you get into politics and you go home, you have your constituency, when someone is sick, when the local school has a leaking roof, when the hospital runs out of drugs, when there's no water. And it's not an original idea. You will know that this is the system in the UK. Your councillor, your local MP is your local MP. You can approach that person if you have a local problem. And I think maybe that's what we sort of have drifted away from. Yeah. Little by little, we have stopped localizing politics. Yeah. And because we have stopped localizing politics, we are unable to solve local ideas. And to the idea of leadership integrity, maybe that's where it should sort of start. If a community can vouch for you, if a community knows you, you're not coming from Abuja or from elsewhere, and you are just helicoptering in with £1 billion and you are, bulldozing through an election. It sort of might be a starting point to building it, because it does matter.
Are you saying it doesn't exist then? If we're looking to start it.
No, I did say that leadership exists. I don't
integrity, leadership integrity.
I think there's a deficit of integrity in our politics here.
Yeah. Okay, Mohammed, right? We were talking about something similar initially. From your point of view, when it comes to local politics, do you think we are doing enough? So you got a minute before we go into best practices where everybody can have a free flow on things, because we barely have 10 minutes. Do you think local politics is not being promoted enough by these leaders?
gentleman, but it's like I just want to keep quiet. If you give me 1 minute, I want to respond to Abi, to Uyi. You say 1 minute, I don't know what to say.
I'm under attack today.
Seriously, like 1 minute discussing Nigerian problem in 1 minute. Who are you?
Don't forget, guys, before we started the call, we made it clear that, look, we have a time box for 1 hour. So what we're doing, we're trying to extract the value so that when we come again, we can revisit those values. That's why I'm throwing out those things specifically. Just unlock the key value. If it's a yes or no answer, then we can bounce to somebody else. But hey, feel free to put it through to somebody else. If you want to skip this one, we can just jump over to somebody else.
Okay, let me respond to Abby. First, I want to agree with what she said. I recently understood what she said practically from 2019 election, where many people, I'm from the north, I'm from Kano, many people I know think the northerners are stupid when they voted Buhari. I'm sorry, I have to mention name because it's the recent one. But do you know what happened? It's just like what Abby said. How can you expect maybe me boxing Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson? It cannot, because of our capacity. And that's what I was telling you. The northerners, don't get angry with them. They want the best for themselves as well. But their level of understanding or comprehension is that the government is right, or they believe the lies. I can lie to you, I can lie to someone. And if I know your intellect, the way I will lie to you will be different from someone I was just telling a story you believe. I'm not saying they are stupid or whatsoever, but like I want to tell you, the real local people, they were sincere in their making decisions and they want a better Nigeria. But this is what I was telling you. If you don't have people with under education, like someone was saying, you know, you need an educated mind for him to grasp the idea of leadership and who is the best leader. If you present 2 options, he can easily identify the best. You know, leadership to me, I think in the society or democracy or whatsoever, leadership is like a lever. Leaders in one side and the masses in one side. And you need both to be educated to balance. If you have educated leaders and selfish, they will oppress the other ones, you know. But if you have educated masses as well, so it will be balanced. They will be looking at you very well and you'll be looking at them. You have to make sure the society is in check and they will make sure you are in check as well. So it's like a lever. In this case, in Nigeria, we don't have, to be honest, educated masses. And I think maybe we should copy something from America, the American system. I don't know, it's a theory. Maybe we need to introduce the electoral college, where, you know, America, they are not practicing real democracy. Maybe after the masses finish their voting, you will have some educated mind to filter the vote. And
that's a good point.
Maybe, yeah.
Because we're talking about leadership integrity, and that's a good point. If the masses are not getting it right, then the leaders should be able to come together to come up with a defined structure. But hey, guess what? Let's move over to Francis. That just said he thinks Nigeria. This is a good question. This is a good one. He thinks Nigeria should go back to regional government, right? That was interesting because our last 10 minutes were going into best practice in politics, right? I know David's got something to say, but best practice in politics is an open floor for anybody to say, hey, look, okay, let's talk about it. Let's argue. Let's agree about what is best practice from a political point of view in Nigeria. But before that, David, you had something to say, right?
Yes, I was just going quickly to what Francis said. Francis is actually right.
I
believe that the Jonathan government did have a series of sittings and did actually have a sovereign national conference.
Okay.
Somebody should correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it was implemented though. I just wanted to put that there.
Yeah, that was based on politics. It wasn't genuine. That's why.
Sorry. All right. Let's leave it open. I'm just going to unmute everybody, please. If you have noise in your background, leave it. Just kindly mute yourself. But what do we define as best practices now? You know, now that we know what the problem is, we've gone from education and politics. You know, grassroots politics is non-existent, but we have to build it. We agree we build it. Other points that we talked about, you know, not too young to lead. We didn't really touch on that. Probably that's something we will discuss on, because some people think only when you get to 70 or 60 before you can actually lead a country. You know, we'll talk about that. And then political awareness. So at the basis of all of that, best practices. I'll start from where we started from before. Let's start with the lady. You know, best practices. What is your take in terms of best practices, the do's and don'ts? If you got a minute, because all of us need to go through it. Yeah. And then we can wrap it up.
Is it me?
Yes.
Oh, I think I already put something down there. I seriously think that we should get rid of older politicians first of all.
How?
And tell them to hand over power and let's start afresh. Let the youth make mistakes. It doesn't matter. We learn from mistakes. Just get rid of old affiliations. What is it? People influencing politics, influencing votes, buying votes. Get rid of them and let the youth start afresh. Give them the reign.
Okay, fair enough.
I disagree with that. That's age discrimination. Everybody has a right. Yeah, that's true. Everybody has a right to run for office. How old is Donald Trump? How old is Biden? How old is Clinton? How old was Theresa May?
Nigeria is a different case.
No, it's not.
Nigeria is different.
No, it's not. I think the younger ones should get engaged, capture what's going on in your country. Yeah. And, the political parties, if they can get all of the political parties themselves, I keep repeating myself and I keep going back to the 70s, 80s. What you had then with UPN were party members actually funding those political parties. What we have now, political parties are being funded by politicians. So there's no ownership.
You have to understand that. You have to understand the youth of today, they are the products of household where there is no food, there is no good housing, they cannot go to school, but they are intelligent. They don't have godfathers. They are the ones who know what it feels like to come from poverty, the majority of them. Let them tell you what they want.
Fair enough. Let's look at it this way. Yeah, we're on best practices.
I think we had it best during SDP and then I was doing the two-party system being funded by the government. Yeah. That was the bedrock. We got it wrong after that June 12 fiasco.
Yeah. I did mention IBB almost got it right. We had a Center for Democratic Studies in Abuja where people studied politics. It was based on ideology. I'll raise my hand up. I belonged to SDP at the time because that's how I grew up. I'm a leftist by nature.
So what is your
this is what I'm talking about.
Because we don't have time.
So it doesn't matter with age.
But, madam, please. Some of us are almost 50. Don't just bring again. When you cut us 50, now you assume we should not contest again.
And I
think 50, up to 80, please, 80 years.
Yeah. Some point we raise are important.
Gentlemen, please. I think we're practicing the best practice. Right?
Is that your opinion? Do you want to see your opinion?
We only have the wrong players in the right pitch. We have practice best practice. We're doing the right thing, but we just have the wrong players running the show. That's what I think.
If you let us know what
we are on the right track. Our practices right now are right.
Okay.
It's just the people and the policies that are wrong.
So you were saying the people and what?
The people and the policies, the policies that are operating, yes, they're wrong.
Other nations where they have much older leaders, and they got it right. Take Mao, he was 70-something. Look at Mahathir, Malaysia. Look at even this racist Winston Churchill, he was old, So I don't think really it's about age. To me, it's just about competence. You can have a competent youth, you can have a competent older person, but if the youth can be able to identify that competency in a candidate and vote for him, is the best thing. There is one thing I would like to reference, whoever is possible to listen to, what Malcolm says in a lecture he gave, the ballot or the bullet. He talked about how to, vote a credible and competent leader. That is my submission, competency.
Okay, competency, right? In terms of best practice, you were saying we need to have more competency, right? Mr. Samuel, please, right? We literally have 3 minutes.
I'll make it
some best practice, yeah?
Best practice.
We've been down this road before, yeah. So what do you think we need? We've gone through all this subject matter.
Yes, best practice, power resides in the hand of the people. Let's have direct primaries every time so we don't have no godfatherism. And then the number 2 best practice as well, before you elect anybody in a position, let's know their portfolio so we're not appointing people that are big wigs or they've got money. Those are the 2 things I suggest.
Awesome.
I absolutely agree with I absolutely agree with Tony about policies. Policies need to change. Let's drive those policies. I'm quite impressed with the amount of people we're starting to see now on this platform, and I hope we can keep the drive going.
Is that in alignment with best practices? Yeah, changing those policies?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Mr. Eki, if you have a minute, or if you it's more than happy if you just want to listen in.
Yeah, and which has been very interesting. I think our main problem is corruption, obedience of the rule of law. Because no matter what constitution you have, no matter what leadership, no matter what, because people do not, there's no law. You can steal all you want to steal and nobody will say anything to you. Once you get that, you sort that out, then I think every other thing will fall into place. That's my own view. I'm not a politician, but that's what I think.
But that's what we're kind of looking for, because the whole point, like I say, is not a meeting, it's nothing, it's just a call so we can share our value and see where we can unlock things from going forward, leading into those do's and don'ts, and then a new mindset. That's the end game. Thanks for that. Mr. Oloye, sorry about that. I know you've been coming in and out. We're just wrapping it up in terms of politics in Nigeria. What can we actually do?
Thank you for this very lovely meeting. But my own opinion is like Nigeria should be recolonized.
Talking about best practices, yeah, there is if we say leadership was missing, that fits into that subject matter. But we've gone past that. We're just talking about best practices. If your best practice is saying, hey, we need to recolonize Nigeria, that's fine.
But colonization is part of our problem. It was part of the problem.
Thank
it is
you.
not
Thank you.
That we should know what you are doing in Nigeria. We cannot go back to regional government, fair enough. But let's practice true federalism. Let the power go back to the people. Like the other guy was saying, TNN. Every state should be responsible for their resources, should be responsible for their own development. Every local government should be responsible for their own development also. All this business of everything going back to the center, it cannot work. That would bring corruption, nepotism, whatsoever. If you can get back to the rating, federalism, true federalism, I think.
Francis, if you want to go back to true federalism, the House of Rep and the Senate should pass it, but they won't do it.
We should be optimistic about all these things. You not just say it will not work.
This is a topic for another day.
Yeah, obviously, because we're going to go in a minute. Guys, honestly, it's gone past 8 o'clock. I knew it was going to get heated because of the topic we picked. The truth of the matter is, every week we talk about different things, all in the view of, hey, how could we come up with a new mindset for a new thinking Nigeria? That is the whole point of these things, right? Next week, we'll drive the same topic because I know this one is very passionate. So we'll pick it up from this again, and we're expecting some more guests. A few people who couldn't come today, they've already sent me a message saying, look, just put me on there, let me give you my point of view from a political point of view. And these are people who are actually on ground. So if you guys want, next week, please, the same time, it's where it is. So sorry, but it's time box for an hour, and I hope you guys
we are here.
What it is.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your time, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Francis, good to see you. Venga.
Man.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.